Good evening. Is this on? Okay, now it is. Good evening. Let's call the City Commission meeting for July 1st, 2025 to order and have a roll call.
Mayor Weinberg.
Here.
Vice Mayor Erlinsky. Here. Commissioner Ain.
Here.
Commissioner Blatchman.
Here.
Commissioner Bloom.
Here.
Commissioner Friedland.
Here.
Commissioner Cruz. Here. Mr. Begis.
Here.
Mr. Myers. Here. You have a quorum.
Thank you. I just want to say briefly before we start, I believe it was April, just 2 months ago, I issued a proclamation making it Regina Greenspan Day. It's happened that on the day of our commission meeting was the day of Regina's 102nd birthday. An Aventura resident, a Holocaust survivor, a survivor of 4 concentration camps. And every morning, I saw her walk into Moe's with her son. Just amazing, probably the best son in the world, right? Her 2 sons, best sons in the world. She would walk in and not even a walker. She would walk in full of life, full of pep, and really took advantage of the fact that she had survived and made it, a better world for everyone. So Commissioner Cruz informed me today that Regina has passed away. So I'm just asking for 30 seconds, a moment of silence, please, in her memory. Thank you. And now, I'd like to ask the OG Commissioner Weinberg, former Vice Mayor Luz Weinberg, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And all those who can, please stand.
Right hand to the heart, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to jump around a little bit. We're starting with the commission meeting, then we're going to recess it and go to the LPA. There are allegedly some lawyers in the room charging by the hour, so we want to get them out. Mr. Manager, any additions or deletions to the agenda?
There are none.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, the public hearing for stormwater rates will be at the September commission meeting. Is that correct?
Correct.
What is the date of our September meeting?
September 3rd.
September 3rd.
September 2nd, I'm sorry.
September 2nd. We'll discuss it'll be a public hearing. People can speak, whoever wants to, about our stormwater rates.
Mr. Mayor, can I just jump in?
Please.
If anybody here wants to speak about stormwater rates during public comment, they certainly can, understanding it's not the public hearing, and also understanding that this meeting may go long and they're going to have to wait a couple hours, but they are entitled to speak on it if they want to.
Yes, and I didn't mean to say they couldn't. Thank you for that. Feel free to speak on stormwater rates when we get to the opportunity for the public to speak. But you're probably better off waiting until the public hearing, or you can do both. Knock yourself out. Okay, commission reports. Any commissioners have anything to report? Yes, Commissioner.
I just wanted to acknowledge that the police department this week had a really successful event at Target called Coffee with a Cop. A really nice amount of staff and law enforcement officers showed up to the event and mingled with residents and answered questions and took photos. A lot of really cute little kids who wanted to take pictures with the cops. So the Coffee with a Cop event was very successful. Target also presented our police department for the first time ever with a challenge coin. And not to be outdone, our chief presented Target with a patch and a challenge coin. So it was a really successful, fun event. And hopefully we'll see a lot of you out there for the next one.
Great. Any other reports by the commissioners? Yes.
So I'd like to say, I just got back. And also, when I came back, I was also interviewed right here in Commission Chambers. Evan arranged for me to have a few interviews here as well, and what I told them that I was happy to be home, that for us, escaping from a war zone was really more of an inconvenience than anything else, because it's something that the Israeli people have to live with every day, and nobody should have to live like that. That was my message to the people of South Florida and all over the country, as well as that our commission always has and always fully will support the state of Israel and our relationship with them. And we are very clear as to what our priorities are. And so I thank the city of Aventura for being a leader and showing moral clarity to the rest of the municipalities, the state and the country, that we stand with Israel, and not only in their time of need, but when things are good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other reports? I think it's worth noting that if you grab your current issue of the Miami New Times, it's the best of issue. It should be noted that the people's choice for best city to live in was Aventura. We knew nothing about it. The people spoke. We had nothing to do with it. Also, a week prior to that, USA Today, national poll, national survey, the results were in America's favorite mall, Aventura Mall. Also, the poll, America's favorite mayor, no, that didn't happen, okay. I would be remiss if I didn't note former Vice Mayor Denise Landman in the House, and former Vice Mayor Dr. Billy Joel in the House. So welcome to two of you. If there are any other former vice mayors, please let me know. I don't want to leave you out. Okay, so special presentations. We've got the U.S. Department of Transportation Vision Zero Safe Streets for All presentation by another former Vice Mayor, Luz Weinberg. The floor is yours.
Like it's on. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, I'll stand away because I certainly project. Good evening, members of the commission, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Manager, Madam Clerk, and of course, Mayor Weinberg. It's a great privilege for me to be here tonight to talk about something that is near and dear to, I believe, all of us, because it's about safety. And it's not only safety, but it's the safety of our roadways in the great city of Aventura. It's perfect timing that you noted, Mr. Mayor, that the city was voted as a favorite city to live in, and we want to make sure to keep to that. Carlos, the clicker? Oh, thank you. So just a few years ago in 2022, everybody might have heard of the big infrastructure bill. It allowed for communities to apply for grants that would then allow them to make improvements to their infrastructure. It was all actually aptly named the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill. Why am I, Carlos? It's not on pause because it's a great presentation. I want you to have the visuals. There we go. So the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill was established and called the Safe Streets and Roads for All. From the Safe Streets and Road for All, it then became known as Vision Zero, because the goal of this program is to reduce the roadway accidents, fatalities, and serious injuries to zero. So this program is now supporting our National Roadway Safety Strategy. There's an entire campaign on the national level, and using a safe system approach. Both of those links to the national program are on the Now Vision Zero Aventura website page that I'll get into in a little bit. So we're following along with what's being done nationally and then just making some tweaks that match our city. So the grant is broken into two parts, and for the first 2 years, there's about a $1.7 billion servicing over 1,000 communities. Very proud that within those 1,000 communities, 456 of those are communities like ours in Aventura that are less than 50,000 residents population. All states are participating, and the state of Puerto Rico, and the communities involved make up 70% of the population of our entire nation, meaning the grants are making impact in the communities that need it most, and most importantly, half of those communities that applied and got the grant are actually underserved communities. There's two phases to the grant. Type 1, which is the one we're in right now, is what we call our planning and demonstration grant. Right now, we are reviewing, devising, observing. Our engineering team, which I'll introduce in a bit, and our steering committee, which I'll also introduce in a bit, have been meeting over the past year, just seeing where are the ideal places where we can make improvements in our roadway system. And that is the role of the grant, and that is the role to develop this action plan, which I'll explain specifically in a moment. And then part 2, which we'll go after next year, involves implementation. So first we come up with a plan of the areas that we want to make improvements on, and then we'll actually go ahead and implement them. Now, Miami-Dade County, of course, applied for this grant as well, and they've got it. They they devised a goal of zero deaths by the year 2040. And I shared with our city manager for you guys to have at your leisure. Please feel free to review the Miami-Dade County Vision Zero Action Plan, because it will sort of look like what Aventura's will look like, except of course for a specific roadways. And so here's what the plan is supposed to do. You develop a high injury network, you outline key action commitments, and of course, key performance indicators, what you're committing to do and how efficient and effective those are going to be. 5 focus areas: enhance the city processes, which we've been working on. Promoting a safety culture will probably be the hardest job for any of the communities, because as you all know, that means changing road drivers and pedestrians and bicyclists mentality, and that is something that every community has been grappling with and will continue to do so. We're gonna, effective tonight that we kick off, we're gonna be launching a massive social campaign to get everyone on board. We will have improving data and being transparent, which is what we've always done in the city of Aventura. Collaborations are gonna be across the board, not only with residents, but our businesses, all our partners, like the state and like the county. The goal, of course, building safe streets for everyone and create safe speeds, which our police department certainly has loved about this grant. And Vision Zero means ending all traffic deaths by the year 2040. This is all part of the county's plan, which matches the national plan, which will probably have some of in our own action plan. The beauty about the Miami-Dade County's action plan, and by the way, they got 16 million grant. We had a few dollars. They're much bigger, but they did identify what they call municipal safety priorities, and proud to say that Aventura is among them, along with other municipalities. 2022 to 2023 grant recipients, I listed some other cities in Miami-Dade County that are also participating. Not everyone is, but we are certainly in Miami-Dade County's action plan, and there's 3 main priorities that they've listed in their plan that we're going to be working with them on. And that was, of course, a stop sign improvements along Country Club Drive, overhead lighting improvements for some of what we call our enhanced crosswalks. I don't know, we're all very much fans of. And then finally, a crosswalk improvements for the Don Sulphur High School, which I know we can all agree on. So that's actually on the county plan, which helps us a great deal ahead of the action plan we're going to be putting together. Now, just last year, September, on your September meeting, you did pass a resolution. And true to the City of Excellence, you took the county's goal and you said, no, we're going to do that better. And now you voted to make the Vision Zero goal, 0 fatalities by the year 2030, which means our team, it's going to really get the ball going. So 2030 is our goal. Three components to the safety action plan. Of course, infrastructural, where exactly are we doing what on our roadways? Operational, once you make those changes, how do we maintain those? Behavioral, I always leave for last because that is going to be the hardest work that we have to do. Everyone has to get excited about Vision Zero. Everyone has to get excited. Everybody has to want to die. I asked the question, how many times would you like to die in an accident? Yeah, the answer is always going to be 0. So that's going to be our hardest work, and we're going to need everybody together for that. The action plan and the grant actually also required a steering committee, or what you're in your resolution, you call a working group, and they're charged with the oversight of the safety action plan. And they are here tonight, and I do want to recognize them because these are members of our community who are volunteering to work with our team. Our actual action plan working team is myself through my firm GloveCom, handling all of the outreach and the communications component for this particular action plan. Ian Reardon, stand up and wave, with Kimley Horn. As you all know, Kimley Horn has been a huge partner of the city for many, many years. And Darlene Fernandez, formerly of Miami-Dade County, which is great to have a partner that knows the county intricacies, and with CAS consultant. And of course, we skipped Jake Osman, your incredible public works director was actually supposed to introduce me. But stand and be recognized. Jake heard of this grant and immediately went for it, applied, got it, and has every intention to go after of course, the implementation grant. So thank you for that. Our steering committee members, and here's where my head went. The Honorable Denise Lenman, which Mayor, you aptly recognized. I thought it would be important to have a former commissioner that also is an Aventura school mom. So she comes from that perspective, or roadways around our schools. Edgar Montserrat, I believe, has not arrived, but he's sadly one of our residents who has lost a child to a vehicular accident, a roadway fatality. So I thought it was important to have that component in our steering committee. Gary Pyatt, you all know, wave. Gary's intimately involved with our condo communities. He knows everybody, has the best list around to get our message out. Dmitry Shaposhnikov, as you all know, works constantly well with our police and cycles and walks our streets and exercises, so he's coming from that perspective. And then I wanted a business owner component, but not only a business owner, but Ed Weinstein Esquire owns City Med Group. City Med treats accident victims. So he comes from the perspective of, people have been injured on the roadways, where exactly. So that makes up what you call your working group, and that is our steering committee. We have met only twice, but there's been a series of emails exchanged and a whole lot of data from our engineers. Our first meeting for our team was last year, April. The steering committee met November 13th of 2024, and they just met 2 months ago exactly today. The grant that Jake applied for, that we got for this, had very specific requirements, and some of those include this public meeting. Thank you for giving us the platform. We are required to host a public meeting for the community, and we'll be now hosting a couple more. Updates, the Vision Zero plan, action plan has to continuously be updated, so you'll be seeing some of that. I devised a community engagement plan with everybody's input that is going to continue to grow, and it will be available on our webpage soon. And we have our Vision Zero webpage on our website, and there's some surveys I'll get into in just a bit. But before that, Ian Reardon with Kimley Horn is going to share just a handful of the many, many, many maps that his team has been very hard at work creating, compiling data for our accidents in our city. And then I'll come right back and wrap up the presentation. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you very much. So yeah, we're just going to walk through a few things that we've been looking at over the past year or so. As part of the requirements for the analysis for this, we've looked at 6 years worth of data, that's 2018 through 2023. And as you can see, it's fairly consistent across those years, with the exception of 2020, which we all know is impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. So there was a little bit of a dip as traffic volumes did go down, but generally we were about 1,200 total crashes per year. Now we move on to a heat map. We want to see where these crashes are occurring. As everyone probably expects, US 1 is a fairly high volume of that. A lot of the crashes are occurring all across US 1 throughout the city limits, but we do have a few more William Lehman Causeway, as well as near the mall and on Country Club Drive. Next, what we want to look at is not only the total crashes, but the severe, fatal injuries, or sorry, the fatal and severe injury crashes, to start to look at what we can focus in on and start to correct. So here you can see this severe injury crashes heat map. Again, US 1 is a main part of that, but you can start to see some more of the off system a little bit further east of US 1 start to pop a little bit more. And so there were 102 severe crashes that did occur over that 6-year period. And in that, there was 3 fatal crashes. One was in 2020 and 2 more in 2023. Now, focusing on even a little bit more, we want to start looking at the vulnerable road users. Those are people walking, bicyclists, scooters, someone who is using the road system but is more susceptible to the injury because they're not protected, they're not sitting in a car, so if they're hit by a car, there's a much higher chance that they're going to get injured in that crash. We want to definitely take a focus on that. So you can see here, again, there's quite a bit on US 1, but as you can get around to the east, around the mall, and around Country Club Drive, again, you can see a pattern of crashes. Now, what do we do with all that data? Again, our goal is to start to come up with improvements so we can implement those and start, and so we can prevent those type of crashes. In order to do that, we wanted to identify the hot spots. In order to do that, we looked at which roadway segments had the highest proportion of the crashes. Again, US 1 came up pretty high in that. So you can see up on the screen there, all those orange dots are the crashes or the intersections along US 1 with the crashes. And then all the blue dots are the ones that the city could have a little bit more control over and what kind of improvements we can do. So we are focusing on both what the state with US 1 can do as well as what the city can do on their local streets. And then here are segments. So similarly with the intersections, we look at the segments that have this higher rate of crashes. And you can see here, we've got US 1 pretty much the entire limits of the city, and then a few more streets around the mall, Country Club Drive, and then north up near the school, and south near 189th. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Luz for a few things.
Thanks, Ian. So tonight's meant to just sort of give you an overview, being more of an informational. We'll be happy to sit with each of you individually to go over any of the questions. So on the City of Aventura website, you now have the Vision Zero webpage. So for those watching or who might watch later, if you go to cityofaventura.com, click on departments under Transportation and Public Works, there's a specific Vision Zero clickable spot, and when you click on it, it'll show you the grant program information. It'll tell you about our program goals, which are, 0 deaths is only really one goal. My favorite part, there are going to be interactive live maps on that page. So our residents can go on that map, click on or hover over a specific intersection and make comments. And we're going to be getting all that data, all that information. We're going to be combing over and surveys that we sat down and devised the questions that we know will be ideal to gather information. From all that data, we're going to be holding a couple of more community meetings, and just for timeline purposes, come January, correct? We'll be finalized with our action plan. We will come back before you as a draft and share, and then we send it up to Washington, D.C. for the next steps of the program. But more importantly, well, I'm not gonna click. Everybody, you're welcome to visit the webpage for Vision Zero. So just to recap, Safe Streets and Roads for All grant, Aventura applied, we got it. We're also part of the county's action plan. We're currently working on our action plan with a steering committee and an incredible team of engineers. We're going to be coming before you, and we're also going to be going out to the community. We welcome the community. This is the time where we really need people to chime in and give us your intersections, give us your ideas. What is it that you think we could improve upon? And then we'll come up with our action plan at the very end. And yes, Mr. Mayor, there was someone here looking to speak on the stormwater management. That is a separate grant we saw under Resilient Florida. And we will come before you on September 2nd and go over that as well. It's a similar component of gathering. So I don't believe there'll be any questions because you have a very full agenda. But thank you so much. And remember, Vision Zero, 0 deaths by 2030. Thank you. Unless there are any questions, let me not walk away.
Any questions by any commissioner?
I have a quick question. I have a quick question.
So close. Go ahead.
Just easy question. How are you planning on getting the word out for people to actually take the survey?
Yes, so we have, now that we have our official kickoff, now we're going to need to work with the city's communication team, and we haven't wanted to do anything until we were officially in front of the commission and launched it off. But yes, there will be plenty of campaigns coming your way as to how we get the information out. Thank you for that.
Commissioner?
First of all, thank you for everything you do for the city.
My pleasure.
And one of the few things that we started working together with the city manager was to add some crossings, some lights, some signals. So we have been involved working on improving our safety. There are certainly some areas where I would like to point you out, but we'll do that at another time. But thank you.
No, and that's a great point, Commissioner Blanchman, because it is just inherently natural for the city of Aventura to be constantly seeking ways to improve our roadways, the life of our residents. So this is just kind of like icing on the cake where we can get some federal funds to help fund some of those projects. So thank you for that. Anyone else?
Okay, I guess not. I just find it fascinating that 6 years of accidents, with the exception of 2020 and the COVID year, every year was 1,200 plus or minus. It's crazy that it would be that consistent, and I don't know what to attribute that to, but that's just incredible to me.
Yes.
It's just a comment. So thank you for your work. I know you're just getting started, and you're going to keep continuing, and we'll see you again. Thank you.
Yes, we'll be back soon.
Please.
Thank you.
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to make one more comment. We are going to be out in the lobby. We brought some maps with us. We also have an iPad with us that anyone who's here today, if they want to take the survey or take a look at the map, we're out there until the end of the meeting.
Very kind of you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to recess the commission meeting so we can go into the LPA. Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner Bloom. I need a roll call vote for that.
Commissioner Ain,
Yes.
Commissioner Blatchman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Orlinsky,
Yes.
and Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So at 6:42, we're recessing the commission meeting. And let me call to order the local planning agency and ask for a roll call.
Mayor Weinberg,
Here.
Vice Mayor Orlinsky. Here. Commissioner Ain,
Here.
Commissioner Blatchman,
Here.
Commissioner Bloom,
Here.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz.
Here.
Mr. Begis.
Here.
Mr. Myers.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the June 3rd, 2025 minutes. Commissioner Ain, seconded by Vice Mayor Orlinsky. Let's vote on that.
Commissioner Blatchman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland, Commissioner Cruz.
Yes.
Commissioner Ain,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Orlinsky,
Yes.
and Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 4, public hearings. Motion recommending adoption of the following. So let me say that we're going to invoke quasi-judicial procedures for items 4A, 4B, and 4C. I'll ask the city attorney to explain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Please be advised that items 4A, 4B, 4C on the LPA agenda are zoning hearings and are quasi-judicial nature. As such, the quasi-judicial procedures of the city shall be invoked for these items. If you wish to object or comment upon these items, please inform the mayor when public comments are requested. An opportunity for persons to speak on these items will be made available after the applicant and staff and the intervener have made their presentations on the items. All testimony, including public testimony and evidence, will be made under oath or affirmation for these quasi-judicial items. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you refuse either to be cross-examined or to be sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the commission to ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for the organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. I'd like to add one other thing, Mr. Mayor. This time, the commissioners, if you had ex parte communications, with respect to items 4A, B, or C, and you haven't previously disclosed them, you can disclose them now, or you can wait until the commission meeting to disclose them. If you disclosed ex parte communications you had before, but you've had more recent ex parte communications with the same parties, you do need to disclose those as well.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any comments?
Yes, I would like to disclose that I have spoken to attorneys for both of the applicants.
Any other comments?
Yes, I'd like to disclose that I've spoken to an attorney for the applicant.
I would also like to disclose that I spoke to an attorney for the applicant.
Hold on.
I would like to disclose that I have spoken with an attorney for the applicant.
Let me ask the attorney, city attorney, do we need disclosure as to which item each one of them is talking
Yeah,
about?
I mean, that would be helpful. I
There's
assume it's
different-
item B or C. I don't know, because there are three items. One is the Padelt, and the two other items are with respect to the project on 187th. So I'm assuming that you're all disclosing with respect to the project on 187th. Is that correct?
I would like to disclose that I've spoken to the applicant's attorney for 187th and any attorneys that might be opposing that on 186th Street. Thank you.
Everyone else want to clarify, please?
I would like to clarify that I spoke to an attorney representing the property on 187th. And that is all.
Okay, anyone else?
I'd like to disclose that I have spoken with an attorney for the applicant regarding other topics, not related to the application.
Okay, I have no update to my prior disclosures because I declined to speak to anyone after first reading.
Wait, Howard, we have,
Sorry?
I would like to disclose that I spoke to the applicant's attorney for 187th.
Okay,
What I would like to say is when items 4B and 4C of the LPA agenda that involve property owned by the same individual who owns where the location of my restaurant is, Moe's Bagels. Moreover, this project is located on 187th Street and Northeast 28th Court, adjacent to my restaurant. So although it is speculative as to whether this project will have a financial impact on my business, I'm announcing that I have a voting conflict regarding items 4B and C. Since I'm declaring that I have a voting conflict, I'm required by law to absent myself from the proceedings, abstain from voting, and file a memorandum of voting conflict with the city clerk. Finally, later this evening, when items 7B, 7C, 7D, and 7E are heard as part of the commission's regular agenda, I will reiterate that I might have a appearance of a voting conflict, so I will request my LPA disclosures to be incorporated into the record, and I will absent myself from the commission hearings as well.
okay, very well written. Anybody else? Okay, so now, at this time, I will request the city clerk to swear in anyone offering testimony.
If you will be speaking on items 4A, 4B, or 4C, or providing testimony or presenting, I need you to stand up and be sworn in at this time, or making comments also. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Okay, if you could read 4A.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting amended conditional use approval pursuant to Section 31-145B3M of the City Code to permit the development of padel courts, shade covers, and accessory facilities on the top floor of the existing parking garage located at 18851 Northeast 29th Avenue, providing for conditions and providing for an effective date.
Okay, I need a motion to recommend adoption of the resolution. Commissioner Bloom, seconded by Commissioner Blanchman. And I'll ask the Director of Development to review the item for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kevin Klopp, Community Development Director. This is a amendment to a previously approved conditional use. Because it was approved by the City Commission, we felt the amendment to that approval would also come before you. This is the LPA, so you are simply recommending to the City Commission your thoughts on this. Very simply, they want to put shade covers over the approved paddle courts on the garage where the Tenex Center is. Staff is in support of this. It was presented to the City Commission at a recent workshop meeting. I do not have a more in-depth presentation in the interest of time. I do have one thing, and the applicant will stand and make the request, but I wanted to let you know in advance. We have a condition in the resolution that says the shade covers would come down in tropical storm or hurricane warning conditions. They believe that they will be constructed strong enough to withstand up to, I believe, 100-mile-an-hour winds, which would be a tropical storm warning, and would like not to have the requirement that they have to be taken down on tropical storm warning. We have no objection to that. But other than that, I'm available for questions, or the applicant can come up and make his presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commission. Mickey Marrero, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, attorney for the applicant. As Kevin said, you all heard our presentation at the workshop, and the only comment, we agree with everything in the staff report. The only comment that we have is what we said at the workshop is that we would be removing the canopies upon a hurricane warning. The reason we said that, the product actually, to clarify, is designed, and we can provide evidence to staff, to withstand over 120-mile-per-hour winds. Tropical storm is below 74. So tropical storm warnings are much more common. So what I was proposing, and I mentioned it to Kevin earlier, if we can modify the condition upon approval of the community development director, we would demonstrate the evidence of the product approval that the product can withstand over 100-mile-per-hour winds, that it's only for a hurricane warning that they come down. And that's the only request we went over that with Kevin, and I think he's in agreement. With that, we have no further comment. Thank you.
Would we need the motion maker to accept that?
Yes, absolutely.
Who made the motion, Madam Clerk? Commissioner Bloom? Do you accept that condition?
Yes, I will amend my motion to approve with the new information just presented to us.
And the second, who is the second?
Commissioner Blatchman?
Commissioner
Yes.
Blanchman, do you accept that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so this is for paddle courts on the top floor of parking garage with canopy. If there are any members of the public that wish to speak on this item, please come forward now. Seeing none, I'll close it for public comment and ask if any commissioners have any comment or questions. Seeing none, let's close it and vote.
Commissioner Bloom?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Commissioner Ain?
Yes.
Commissioner Blatchman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Orlinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Weinberg?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. If Madam Clerk could read the resolutions for 4B and 4C.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting a variance from Section 31-145E1A of the city's land developments regulations to permit a mixed-use development where the ratio of square feet of residential uses to commercial uses is 10.58 to 1, where a maximum ratio of 3 to 1 is required, and variance from Section 31-145B5F to permit, 1, a front setback of 15 feet where 25 feet is required, 2, a side street setback of 15 feet where 20 feet is required, and 3, a rear setback of 12 feet where 20 feet is required for the property located at 2770, 2822, 2826, 2830, 2834, and 2850 Northeast 187th Street, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date. 4C, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting conditional use approval pursuant to Section 31-145B3 of the City Code of Ordinances. 1, to permit a density of 69 dwelling units per acre for a project providing hero housing where the city code permits 25. 2, to permit heights up to 17 stories, 174 feet, where the city code permits 4 stories, 50 feet. And 3, to permit minimum floor areas of 800 square feet for one-bedroom units, where the minimum requirement is 900 square feet for the property located at 2770, 2822, 2826, 2830, 2834, and 2850 Northeast 187th Street, providing for conditions of approval and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I need, now we're taking 4B. I need a motion to recommend adoption made by Vice Mayor Alinsky, seconded by Commissioner Bloom. And let me ask Kevin to lead us through this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And if we could bring the presentation up, this is, as you have heard from the city clerk, Casa Residences along Northeast 187th Street, a conditional use request and a variance request. I'm going to take them in that order. It's item C and then item B in my presentation. It just makes a little bit more sense. By a little bit of background, why we're here, you are, again, meeting as the LPA. An LPA, local planning agency, is required by statute, and your role is to be an advisory board to the city commission. You conduct quasi-judicial proceedings and public hearings, which are then followed up with quasi-judicial hearings at the city commission meeting. So on May 6th, you met as the local planning agency to hear an amendment to comprehensive plan and a rezoning also related to this property, and as an LPA recommended favorably. Those items have not yet been heard by the city commission. They will be heard by city commission later this evening. The LPA right now is dealing only with the variance and conditional use. So a little bit about the proposed project. You did hear from the city clerk, but it's a mixed-use development on the southwest corner of 187th Street and Northeast 28th Court. The project will be 17 stories high, provide 208 residential units. The smallest unit would be approximately 800 square feet for one bedrooms, and there would be 12,000 square foot of retail in the project. Here's a picture of it. The applicant will be making a presentation as well, many more graphics in their presentation, so I'm going to be brief with the graphics and just go through the minimum that I need to. The conditional use request is for the density of 69 units per acre and the height of 196 feet and the size of the one bedrooms. There are standards of review for a conditional use request. They are summarized here, paraphrase. This isn't exactly how they appear in code, but code sections 31-73 does require that it be consistent with the comprehensive plan, not detrimental to public health, safety, and welfare, consistent with community character, that public facilities exist or will be available, that ingress and egress will work, and that there be no detrimental effects on surrounding properties, development, and finally, that there be minimal adverse impacts on adjacent properties. Staff finds that they do meet all the criteria of review for this conditional use. I did put in italics a few things here in number 2 and in number 4, which I just want to briefly cover. So this project is proposing hero housing. Hero Housing provides a bonus, the code provides a bonus density if a project provides Hero Housing. That is one of the conditional use items being requested here, 69 units per acre because they would be providing Hero Housing. This helps to ensure that the city can continue to provide public safety and public education. Two of the public facilities that the conditional use says they need to provide, and this would allow for those employees in our police department and in our schools to have attainable housing. So they more than well meet that criteria. And the other is general welfare. We know one of the major priorities in government is to provide for sustainability, environmental sustainability. This project is proposing to build to the Florida Green Building Coalition's silver certification. Those provide for green building practices and sustainability. And some of the things they are doing with this project, with that density, with the smaller unit sizes, with mixed use, are all part of sustainable green building. There's also a incentive for that. If you provide green building products and green building development, you can have additional administrative consistent ability to vary from the minimal codes. Finally, or next on the agenda is the variance. I need to tell you at this point, the applicant has requested to remove the setback variance from the request. So there were two variance requests read by the clerk, and I can hand that out if you'd like, but we are in agreement with the applicant to remove the setback variance. There'll be no setback variance tonight, leaving only the variance on the ratio, the mixed-use ratio. Let me explain that quickly. The amount of residential square feet compared to the amount of commercial square feet is supposed to be a ratio between 3:1 and 1:3. In this case, the amount of residential square feet is far more than the 3 times the amount of commercial square feet. But we believe that is appropriate because, again, they're providing Hero Housing. Now, for a variance, there are additional standards of review. Section 3176 requires that there be a particular hardship if the regulations are to be carried out literally, that there be unique to the parcel and not generally applicable variances, that the difficult not be deliberately created, it's not detrimental to public welfare, and that the public facilities exist. In this case, we have competing public policies. Yes, we think that the mixed-use ratio is a good thing, the 3:1. That's to ensure that a mixed-use district works. However, when you want to provide essential workforce housing options, you want to create enough density for the project to work. That is, in this case, not going to work if they have to provide 1/3 of their square feet for commercial uses. Instead, their ratio will be much higher than 3:1, but we believe that is a variance that has good reason and good hardship. So in summary, staff supports the conditional use request and the variance request, and we suggest that the LPA forward the items to the City Commission with a favorable recommendation. I know the applicant has a presentation. I'm going to bring that up. But in the meantime, if you want to ask me questions, or if you want to wait for the applicant to do their presentation.
Sorry, I'd want to do one thing first. We're combining 4B and 4C, so I also need a motion to recommending adoption of 4C. Commissioner Bloom, seconded by Vice Mayor Orlinsky. Okay, so applicant, do you want to provide any comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Burkow with offices at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. I'm here tonight representing Miami Off Center Associates LLP, the owner of the property that's the subject of this application. I'm here with our development team, Logetta Group of Florida Developers, CFE Architects, and Swedrow Architecture. Our engineers are from Kimley Horn. And at the outset, I'd like to request that all of the applications and the supporting materials filed with the Community Development Department, along with everything from the May hearing on first reading, be included in the record for the matters being considered today. Mayor and Commissioners, although you're going to hear a lot of arguments on technical issues and zoning criteria, the question before you this evening is very simple. Do you want to replace a dated 45-year-old suburban strip center building with an urban mixed-use multifamily rental project using good urban design? And we think that the answer is a resounding yes. The property, as Kevin told you, is located on the southwest corner of 187th and Northeast 28th Court. It consists of 2 unified lots, improved with 2 low-rise retail structures. Moe's Restaurant is in the building on the west, and we've been directed to preserve that building. And the Addison House on the east, and the 2 lots total a little bit over 3 acres. The property is designated as business and office in the future land use map, and it's Zone B2, community business. We are proposing, as you've heard, a mixed-use multifamily rental project on the east lot where Addison currently stands, with 208 dwelling units, including 12 units for Hero Housing, 10,700 square feet of new commercial floor area. That's what our new plan shows after we've withdrawn the setbacks. It's all in a 17-story residential building with an attached 7-story garage. It's a multifamily rental project intended for the missing middle in Aventura. On May 6th this year, the LPA recommended and the and the City Commission approved on first reading the future land use map amendment from business and office to town center and the rezoning from B2 to TC1. This evening's requests include the conditional uses, the density increase to 69 units to the acre with Hero Housing, a height increase to 17 stories, and a request for smaller 1-bedroom unit sizes, 800 and 815 square feet, where 900 minimum is required. That's the same as the Flow project, virtually the same as the Flow project that you approved a few months ago. We have 1 non-use variance to accommodate a more urban project on this property, mixed-use ratio of greater than 3:1 as set forth in the code. We've withdrawn the setback variances. And of course, later this evening, the City Commission on second reading will hear the future land use map amendment to Town Center and the rezoning to Town Center 1. All of these applications for the project have a favorable recommendation from your professional staff. The applicant team has committed to payments to benefit the new high school that total $1 million, $300,000 payable at building permit, $700,000 payable at CO, with 12 Hero Housing units. I'd now like to ask our architect, Trevor Payne from CFE, to briefly present the project. He is a registered architect in the state of Florida. We're going to put his resume in the record. Trevor?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Trevor Payne, and I am an architect with Cohen Freeman Encinosa and Associates Architects. And if you'll turn your attention to the slides here, depicted here, you'll see our proposal site for planned Casa residences. A key priority in our site planning was preserving a beloved Aventura landmark, Moe's Deli. As a cherished gathering place for local residents, keeping Moe's in its original location was absolutely essential to us. Taking into consideration that the development parcel was an unusually shaped site and the irregular curvature of Northeast 28th Court, it presented a design challenge, but we recognized that the cultural and community value of the site far outweighed these complexities. Retail spaces have been strategically placed along 187th Street to create an active, walkable streetscape. A covered pedestrian arcade enhances comfort as well as connectivity, while a center courtyard provides potential for outdoor dining and in order to further enliven that area. And to minimize the traffic impact to the local streets, we mirrored the garage entrance to the 28th court, redirecting the primary access into Mose to the existing 28th. This adjustment allowed us to incorporate additional landscaping among the streetscape, thus improving the public realm overall. On the 8th level, we've incorporated the pool, spa, pavilion, 4 cabanas, an outdoor dining, as well as outdoor lounge areas for the residents, all set amongst lush greenery and thoughtfully designed landscape elements. As you can see here, the open spaces seen highlighted in gray are intended for pedestrian access as well as use and is consistent with municipal guidelines. As shown earlier, this is our main rendering, and on the building's prominent corner, balcony lengths alternate to introduce a rhythm and visual movement to those elevations. These features were developed in partnership with city staff in order to ensure the architecture be both engaging and contextually appropriate, while ultimately minimizing visual impacts. A prominent corner element at the roofline enhances a strong visual anchor, as well as introduces a sense of hierarchy for the overall massing. Building parapets are thoughtfully designed in order to conceal rooftop mechanical equipment while contributing to a dynamic and distinctive skyline. The building's color palette was selected directly with the city-approved colors, ensuring harmony with surrounding context. And last but not least, the garage screening was carefully selected for its architectural quality and compatibility with the main building's design. In close collaboration with city staff, we refined the detailing and color choices to ensure a cohesive aesthetic overall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Chris Hagan from Kimley Horn has prepared a transportation impact analysis for the project. He is a registered engineer in the state of Florida, and we're putting his resume in the record. Chris?
Good evening, and just for the record, again, Chris Hagan with Kimley Horn Associates, address at 477 South Rosemary Avenue, Suite 215 in West Palm Beach, and I was sworn in at the beginning of the hearing. The first information that I just wanted to provide, and I'll summarize this because that's a lot of numbers on the screen, is we prepared a trip generation evaluation to compare what could be built as of right under the current B2 zoning designation on this property. And that includes over 122,000 square feet of office and over 23,000 square feet of retail. What's before you tonight is this proposed change to TC1 zoning that would instead result in what's on the site plan, which is a 208 unit residential development at 21,600 square feet of total retail, which includes the existing Moe's building. The result of that is that what's proposed with this change tonight, if it were to be approved, is a development that would generate 141 fewer AM peak hour trips and 132 fewer PM peak hour trips than if the property were to remain B2 and were to be developed at its maximum potential under what could be allowed as of right under the B2 zoning. Then in the traffic study itself, this table that's on the screen now shows what we actually evaluated, which is comparing the net change in traffic that results from the redevelopment of the site. As was mentioned in the presentation, there is an existing building that's over 31,000 square feet of commercial uses on the property. And so today, it's not like this is a vacant site that's not generating any traffic. That site has historically, generated trips to and from the property as patrons and employees have come to and from that site. With the demolition of that building and replacement by what is proposed under the development program, it is a very minimal increase in trips. And part of that is because residential traffic, when you look at it, we evaluate it on a per unit basis, but when you break it down to a per square foot basis, is a small fraction of the trips that a retail commercial building generates. So the net increase in trips is only 31 AM peak hour trips and 7 PM peak hour trips compared to the building that's historically existed on site. Once you distribute that away from the site and to the surrounding roadways and intersections, it results in a negligible impact on the surrounding transportation network. And that's shown in the traffic study that we prepared, which shows that the level of service at the intersections is not degraded at any of the intersections by the project, and the change in driver delay, which is the numerical value that we use, is mere fractions of a second at the intersections that we evaluated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. We have prepared this graphic showing project height, and this reflects 12 developments between 11 and 32 stories in height within approximately a half mile from the property. It includes the 11-story venture project across the street and the approved 18-story building directly to the south, and the approved 20-story building to the southeast of the property. So yes, tonight we have the conditional use application. All three conditional use requirements comply with your code criteria. The proposed uses are specifically contemplated in the town center designation and TC1 zoning. Mixed-use multifamily development will replace a dated and underutilized property with an exciting mix of uses. The project is consistent with the neighborhood. The adjacent parcel to the south has an approval for an 18-story, 220-foot-high building, and there are at least 6 properties within a quarter mile from the property that are either built or have approvals from 11 to 28 stories. The project is designed, as you've heard from Trevor, to mitigate adverse visual impacts. There is extensive landscaping that's provided throughout the property, no affected owners to the north, east, or west, and we have designed the residential building to be as far away as possible from the adjacent approved 18-story building to the south. As far as the variances are concerned, as you've heard from Trevor, again, this is a unique location. The lot shape and the curve of the road create an irregular parcel that poses design challenges. The site also consists of unified lots, posing an additional constraint. And it is unique. There are unique conditions requiring preserving certain existing structures while adaptively reusing and redeveloping a portion of the property. It's a unique location and lot shape configuration. The variance will not substantially increase congestion or reduce property values. As you heard from Chris Hagan, the traffic impact of the project is less than what can be built as of right and is essentially the same as the traffic generation that exists today. The project will increase property values by adding a much-needed mixed-use multifamily residential project and improving the area. We are projecting a 10-fold tax increase for the property upon completion. Your community developer director's recommendation of approval provides the necessary legal support for all the applications that you're going to hear tonight. But I'm going to tell you why you should approve all of the applications before you this evening. And that's because those applications and this project promote the goals, objectives, and policies of your comprehensive plan. So in the town center designation, transit and pedestrian mobility will be increased and traffic will be reduced in several ways. One of which is by providing housing close to retail uses that allows residents to walk or bike in order to reduce some daily trips. In the land use element, it states that the city will vigorously promote a variety of housing uses in residential communities and town centers through its planning, zoning, subdivision, and site planning and other regulatory activities like this hearing this evening. And that Aventura should facilitate redevelopment of high-intensity activity centers and mixed-use projects like this one. In the housing element, it says that the city will coordinate with the private sector, that's us, in order to encourage the provision of a variety of housing types, including housing that is affordable to city residents of all income levels in residential and town center communities throughout the city, and shall implement appropriate criteria allowing diverse housing types, including housing affordable to city residents of all income levels. And finally, in the redevelopment element, your policy requires the city to encourage redevelopment, emphasizing well-designed communities that contain a variety of uses and housing types, and promote good urban design. Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, there is a well-recognized need in this city for a market-rate multifamily rental project that will begin to fill the demand from your adult children who love Aventura but don't want to live with mom and dad, but can't find an affordable place to live. It also fulfills a demand from office and retail workers who love Aventura and want to avoid the long, tiresome commutes. That marketplace demand, along with the goals, objectives, and policies of your comprehensive plan, show you why you should activate this property with a well-designed, mixed-use multifamily rental project. For those reasons, we ask you to approve this project this evening. We are distributing letters of support and putting those letters in the record. Our whole team is available to answer any questions that you may have, and I'd like to reserve some time for rebuttal. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that complete your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me open for public comment on 4B or 4C. Any members of the public wish to speak? Come on up. Sure, come on up. Intervener, let me wait for this gentleman. Just name and address.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Joshua Bash. I was here on May 6th. My address is 18800 Northeast 29th Avenue. I live in Venture East. So there's some changes that I don't have all of the documentation that has been submitted to the commissioners, but if I recall, on May 6th, the project was only 12 stories. Now they're asking for 17 stories. I was concerned about the congestion, you may recall, and I know you told me about the former designation from the county plan, the master plan, when you took over the city of Aventura. But a couple of things I'd just like to point out. The renderings, a couple of them do not show the Venture East and the Venture West buildings. They just show them as grassy lots. And they're right across the street. They'll be directly impacted by this property. Second thing is, they mentioned that the current property, which is a furniture store, a Kai's, a paint store that I think is out of business, and maybe one other business.
Addison House, I think.
I'm sorry?
Addison House, I believe.
Yeah, Addison House is I mean, the amount of traffic coming in and out of there, I go in and out of Venture East every day. I walk around a lot in that area. I mean, to compare a 17-story building with 12,000 square feet of commercial to what's there now, which is obviously very minimal, it's very underutilized, even compared to most. But, I mean, there's no way to compare it. And this area is really congested. 17 stories would be much higher than what's there. And then also the setbacks. If I recall on May 6th, those setback requests and the variance that's being sought were not mentioned on May 6th. It's a new thing, and they're going to be closer to the street on the front and on the east side, and it's just going to be more congested, and I think the commission should be aware of this. I
Okay,
appreciate your time.
thank you very
you.
much. I hope you'll
Thank
stick around for the rest of the,
I will.
okay?
Thank you.
Any other members?
One
of-
other person who wanted to speak.
I'm sorry?
I think there's one of my neighbors wanted to speak. She may have just stepped out for a minute.
You want to find her?
Yeah, can I
You're
just
welcome
grab her?
to.
I think she made a phone call.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can I just sort of state something for the record before the intervener makes a presentation?
Please.
Just for people who are unfamiliar with this process. So the city of Aventura, in its code, allows for intervention by a party. There has to be a showing that the party is adversely affected by the application, and they have to ask for intervener status. Based on the letter from the intervener's attorney, I concluded, and the community development director and city manager agreed that they should be granted intervener status. What that means is they have an opportunity to make a presentation. They're not limited to 3 minutes. They can make arguments and they can cross-examine. So I just wanted to put that on the record for people who are unfamiliar with the idea of an intervener in one of our proceedings.
Okay. Let's wait another 30 seconds, otherwise the intervener will,
She deferred.
oh. I agree with what he said. Okay, perfect. Okay, so does the intervener want to provide comment?
Yes, we do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, my name is Dennis Kerbel. I'm with Ackerman LLP with offices at 98 Southeast 7th Street, Suite 1100, Miami, Florida 33181. I'm joined by my colleagues Neeson Kasdan and Cecilia Torres Toledo. Before we begin, Ms. Torres Toledo is handing to the clerk a supplemental filing that has the report that our expert planner has prepared, along with copies of the renderings that we're going to be showing in our presentation. And so we would just ask that those be received for the record, and we'll be providing a copy to the applicant. So we represent Granite Aventura LLC, which is the developer of Port Aventura. That's at the northwest corner of Northeast 185th Street and Northeast 28th Court. It abuts the property and is directly impacted by the proposed Casa Residences development. I'm also joined by Harry Gross, the owner of Granite Aventura and the developer of Port Aventura, our professional planner, Wes Blackman, and AICP of CWB Associates, and our architect, Fidel Zabik of Architectonica. As you'll further hear from Mr. Gross, we are uniquely impacted by these applications. First, our project is in the RMF4 zoning district, which consists of a condominium and a luxury hotel. And we have paid millions of dollars in permitting and impact fees to the city for our site plan approvals and building permits, which are currently in process. One of your zoning code's conditions for a hotel in this zoning district is that it be on a property that's bordered on two sides by B2 zoning. Our site satisfied this condition when we commenced the project and continues to this day, but this application would obviously eliminate one of the B2 sides we have relied on. The elimination of the B2 is not just a matter of technical compliance. Replacing the commercial potential of the B2 district with a massive residential project throws off the previous development balance that made this location attractive for our project. One of the aspects of the area that made our project appealing was the availability of businesses and commercial uses within walking distance and the potential for additional development of business and office uses. The proposed site plan also directly impacts our development. Even though the applicants have now withdrawn the setback variances, and we have seen for the first time tonight what the new massing might look like, but weren't able to fully digest it in the course of this presentation. Even with that, the proposed Casa Residences is much larger than the maximum 120-foot, 12-story building that the B2 district would have allowed. And I'd like Mr. Zabik to show a rendering that compares that's what could have been built under the B2 zone, and you'll see the massive difference you'll see the massive difference when we compare to what they're proposing. So that's the 120-foot building. That was taken into account when our project was approved, which faces the other side, 185th Street. And now let's show the rendering of the comparison with the proposed development. And so you'll see that is a much, much larger, more impactful structure. And the parking deck, so their proposed height of 17 stories and 174 feet much more significantly impacts the views and the light and air that our residents would have enjoyed, particularly when you compare it with the 12-story, 120-foot tall office building that would be allowed under B2. And
excuse me, can you bring the thing further, because I cannot see it from here.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll hold it like that. Can you see that? Okay, thanks. Are you able to see that? Okay. Thank you. So in addition, the massive overdevelopment of Casa residences means that they'll have a significantly larger parking structure, and their proposed garage of 7 stories gives our residents a view of their parking decks rather than aligning with our proposed parking deck. And now if we can show the other rendering with the alignment. There we go. So you see the alignment between the decks. It doesn't quite line up, and that's a function of the fact that the Casa Residences project is so much larger than what would be allowed under the current commercial zone. So the Casa Residences project is simply in the wrong location. It'd be designated and zoned as town center, but it's a residential project with a fig leaf of commercial space, and it doesn't fulfill the intent of the town center district. The proposed residential and commercial ratio of almost 11-to-1 defeats the entire purpose of the town center, which was supposed to have a ratio of 3-to-1. And it's certainly, the purpose of the town center is not to have a residential development that overwhelms the commercial component. This is a far cry from a successful mixed-use project like Aventura Park Square. That the requested CDMP designation and rezoning are all wrong for this project is demonstrated most clearly by the site plan. Their development not only requires a plan amendment and a rezoning, but also several conditional uses and a variance. And that variance is from one of the essential components of the zoning district they themselves have selected. They're trying to eliminate the very ratio that makes the town center district function. If they followed the town center ratio, they have 22,900 square feet of commercial, they'd have 68,700 square feet of residential. That's about 76 units. Instead, they're looking for 242,000 square feet of residential, and they've provided no reason why the project has to be this dense. As our planner, Mr. Blackman will explain, that's not appropriate planning. The applicant shouldn't choose a building and then try to pick the plan designation and zone that best accommodates it. Or worse, as this project does, pick a zone and then still need a significant variance from it in order to facilitate multiple conditional uses. And a large part of their project relies on hero housing to achieve their skewed ratio of residential to commercial. But their hero housing proposal is frankly an abuse of the concept. They're increasing their residential capacity by providing 5% of their 208 residential units, 12 units out of 208. So for 5% hero housing, they're getting 177% bonus in market rate units. That is the most generous workforce or affordable housing bonus that I'm aware of. Other jurisdictions give you a 10% or a 25% bonus for 5 to 10% of affordable units. And on top of that, it's not even clear what segment of the community is going to benefit from this, from the 12 units, because hero housing, the definition in the code only requires that they be below market. And while we understand the purpose of it, there isn't actually a guideline or even a proffer on their part to guarantee that it will go to the people that this commission intends it to serve. And so that 177% market rate bonus is just extreme. And on top of the bonus, they seek a conditional use for a height of 17 stories where 4 are allowed and 174 feet. This will be the tallest building on 187th Street, and it dwarfs the residential project it faces, as you heard from the neighbor, the Venture West, which is 7 stories. If you see, this is what, that 17-story building is what the Venture West will be facing. That's completely out of scale for this neighborhood. And so now I'd like to ask our expert planner, Wes Blackman, to provide a bit more detail about how the project violates your policies and why it's simply not good planning. First, for the record, I've submitted Mr. Blackman's biographical information and the white paper he prepared that expands on the opinions he's going to give you tonight. I respectfully request that he be accepted as an expert in comprehensive planning and zoning and be able to render opinions on this point.
Thank you and good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners.
Mr. Blackman, first, can you very briefly tell us your background?
Sure. My name is Wes Blackman. I'm with CWB Associates. I'm a certified urban planner. I've had a 40-year career in urban planning. I've sat on many planning and zoning advisory boards. I have my own firm based in Lake Worth Beach, Florida. I specialize in historic preservation, but am also a general use planner and have been certified since 1991.
And can you please briefly tell us what materials did you review in preparing for this hearing?
Yes, the basic planning materials for any municipality in Florida, a local government. They would be the City of Aventura's comprehensive plan, the land development regulations, surrounding development context, including plans and materials for Port Aventura, and the published application materials for this evening's meeting and the previous meeting.
So first, I'd like you to turn to the comprehensive plan. Can you identify the policies that you believe this project is inconsistent with and explain a little bit further about your opinion?
Well, being a planner for 40 years, I have written and read my share of comprehensive plans. And what's interesting is that this city is a relatively young city in relation to other cities in South Florida. And you came of age during the highlight of the comprehensive planning era, essentially. So the wisdom embedded within your comprehensive plan is important, and for all communities, it's important to understand that a lot of work, effort, time, human capital has gone into the creation of your comprehensive plan, your future land use element, and your land development regulations. And I would argue that the fathers and mothers of Aventura would argue that the status quo is the way to go with this project. If you look at policies 2.1 and 2.2, they relate to the location criteria for residential and non-residential uses within the city of Aventura. The land use decision that was made in 2018 regarding our property, the Port Aventura property, sorry.
Well, can you address how this relates to the town center policies?
Right.
And how it doesn't fit in with what the purpose of the town center is?
In reading the future land use element of the comprehensive plan, it is obvious that a lot of care went into the designing of the town center land use category, because it is the center of Aventura. Of course, you have the mall, of course, you have Turnberry. But there is such gentle language and nuanced language intended to create a better Aventura, essentially creating physical cohesiveness, direct accessibility by mass transit service, and high-quality urban design. And also be compact, which I thought was interesting, compact and efficient structure. And I don't see how the proposed development meets that criteria. Likewise, with the residential component, the decision for the Port Aventura project was made in anticipation of this property remaining B2. So, and that's important to note. Also, that.
Would you mind, sorry to interrupt, could you elaborate on how that would work together? The B2 worked with the Port Aventura project?
Yes. The B2 does not allow residential, only in the medical office zoning, and that is not what is present here. And in order to have a project of any type here that involves residential, it involves a convoluted series of requests that are before you tonight. And those are the conditional land use request for the 69 units to an acre and the variance as well.
Could you address the general size of the town center that's required by the comprehensive plan?
Yes, it's a minimum 5 acres. And this is sort of a wink and a nod that the TC across the street to the north is somehow compatible or somehow designed with this particular property, and that is not the case.
All right, so let's move on to the rezonings. How, in your opinion, does the request to rezone to town center violate the applicable standards?
Town centers are intended to be design unified areas, which is what I was talking about, the fine level of detail here. A mixture of different urban functions integrated both horizontally and vertically. High quality urban design, a thematic plan. This is not something that just comes in from the street, and it has some standards to meet here. Any area designated as a town center should have the capability of being developed or redeveloped with an ultimate residential population of no less than 1,000 persons. It is dense, but it is also combined with non-residential up to 50,000 square feet of non-residential use.
And could you talk about its relationship to the surrounding properties?
Yes.
If it'll help, you can
Right.
look at the rendering.
Right. The way the massing lines up, both are high-rise, obviously. There is talk about discouraging monotony in the comprehensive plan. And I think if you look at the two towers between the Port Aventura property and the applicant's property, both being residential towers, I would say that points towards monotonous. You also see the Venture West Tower across the street, which was conveniently ignored during the applicant's presentation.
And now let's look at do you see any evidence that the proposal is part of an overall thematic redevelopment plan or fits in any way with the existing town center? Have you seen any effort to do that?
No, I think it represents an opportunistic project that is finding a way around the regulations rather than abiding by the regulations.
Okay, so now I want to look at the variance, which is the linchpin of the project, because if they can't vary the 3-to-1 residential to commercial ratio, it can't be built in this form.
Right.
So can you talk about the variance in relation to the code standards?
Yes, this is a very important point in the permitted use section of the town center district. It specifically says that residential is allowed, but only in relation to the amount of commercial that is on the property. And that's where the 3-to-1 ratio comes in, that they're asking for a variance from, that would push them to the arbitrary 10.58. How did they come up with this number? And usually it is a hard number, and due to the characteristics of the property, of the subject property, something you have to work around that other properties do not have that justify that variance. There is no hardship other than economic, that is the number needed for the number of units that would create that. And no analysis has been looked at with this level of residential in this area of the city.
And with the understanding that variances under the code are intended to provide limited relief and are not intended to change the classification or characteristic of the surrounding area, does the requested variance on the ratio fit within that purpose?
No, it really doesn't. It creates a use that really is unidentifiable and really can't be analyzed, because the code did not anticipate such a mixed use.
And finally, I want you to look at the conditional uses and briefly hit on the criteria about minimizing impacts and adverse effects to surrounding properties. What is your opinion about the Casa Residence project and whether it minimizes impacts to surrounding properties?
Well, I would say to increase the height to such an extent that it is competing with the high-rise on the Port Aventura property is excessive, and it is above what is permitted by right in terms of an office building, which is 120 feet, which would be much more in keeping with the scale of the development on the Port Aventura property.
And what about with reference to Venture West?
Yes, well, the same would apply there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And the longer analysis is contained within the materials that we submitted for the record. I want to emphasize a particular point about the variance requests. Your code does not allow variances to be approved easily. Your code requires that applicants demonstrate a particular hardship based on the physical conditions of the site. A particular hardship, not just a mere inconvenience, and not even just a practical difficulty. Under the law, particular hardship has a specific meaning. It means that denying the variance would essentially leave them with no reasonable use of their property. But of course, they have lawful uses under their existing zoning, and they would remain with lawful uses even if it was simply rezoned to TC1, but the requests were otherwise denied. So they haven't shown any reason that this site cannot be utilized based on its physical configuration to build a viable development. And the worthy desire for hero housing is not a hardship that the law would recognize. That's an economic choice. An economic viability of a project or economic desirability of a project is not a standard that the law recognizes for a variance. It's further evidence that this is just the wrong project in the wrong place. And if this is about preserving Moe's Bagels and Deli, which I certainly appreciate, my family and I eat there a lot. But neither the rezoning nor the variance covenant them to retaining Moe's in that configuration. Yes, the site plan is a condition of the conditional uses, but they could theoretically walk away from the conditional uses. They've now been rezoned to TC1. They could knock down the Moe's, introduce up to 260,000 square feet of commercial and 75 dwelling units, and they wouldn't need this commission's approval to come back with that configuration. There's simply no commitment. And so while they are honorable people, the next person down the line, should they choose to sell the property, we have no idea. And so if that's one of the guiding principles, this has no teeth. And by rezoning the town center, you further opened the door for them to ask a future commission to approve a massive development with not only the extreme 242,000 square feet of residential that they're asking, and the commercial that's included here, which is reasonable. I'm not calling that one extreme. But they could then come back and ask for an additional 239,000 square feet of commercial at the same or an even greater height. And that application would definitely affect the congestion and the traffic, because their traffic study, and I would note the slide that they showed, appeared to have only half the property analyzed. The traffic report, I think, probably covered it, but I just wanted to point out that the slide, there was something off of on it. But that was premised on the fact that residential does generate generally less peak hour traffic than commercial. But you'll have rezoned this into a thing that gives an opportunity to provide much more. So finally, I'd like to ask Harry Gross to come up and explain the Port Aventura development and what he has invested in this community, and also tell you a little bit about himself. Harry?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, thank you. I'm Harry Gross. I'm the founder of a business that was founded in 1974, more than 50 years ago. So during these years, we have built businesses in the United States and overseas, in different fields: real estate, health area, textiles, and high-tech companies. We have offices in the United States, in Belgium, in Israel, in Hong Kong, in China, India. And we're active all over the place in various businesses. On a personal note, I wanted to mention when we had to swear to tell the truth and so on, I wanted to say that I would like to affirm it by religious reasons. As far as our developments, in Israel, our healthcare company was one of the biggest employees, employing 21,000 individuals, mostly women. And that was an opportunity to have work for them. Our real estate businesses include building developments that had to do with parcelation of land, with building single-family homes, multifamily homes, office buildings, hotels, including the tallest hotel in the United States, a 70-story building in Manhattan, at the corner of 54th Street and Broadway. And Aventura has been very appealing to us. I'm residing from 2007, traveling between New York and Bal Harbor, here in South Florida. The area was very attractive to us because of the fact that we were surrounded by potential office buildings that could have been developed, and access to retail around us. Up to now, we have invested about $5 million in different fees for the city of Aventura, for the county, including $1 million for the school system here. So we've been involved with the community. What appealed to us is the closeness to the Chabad Center across the street from us, So we thought that it's a good project. So here we are.
Harry, I don't know if you want to talk about your other hotel developments or your.
Well, basically, in Florida, we have 3 projects. Presently, this is the Aventura project that has a building permit, and we are going through the process of amending it. This is a hotel project in Fort Lauderdale, and this one is a 55-story building in Edgewater. That's a mixed-use W hotel and residences on top of it. We have built the tallest hotel in the United States, a 70-story pure hotel, not together with residential or office or anything like that. Mixed-use projects. This project is a 45-story building at the corner of 39th Street and 6th Avenue. It's a Residence Inn by Marriott with 89 condominiums on top of it. We built in Europe, city of Ghent. We've put together 4 buildings. They are 18th century buildings. And that particular property, it's a Marriott full-service hotel, has been recognized by TripAdvisor as the best hotel in Belgium. And we can go on. I don't want to talk about myself too much, but
Harry, can you talk a little bit about what your plan is for, your current plan is for Port Aventura, the plans you've recently submitted?
So basically, it's an approved plan for a mixed-use project. We have reduced the number of floors in the building, maintaining the same mass from 18-story building to a 17-story building for the purpose of increasing the height, floor-to-ceiling height in the building, and reduce the number of dwellings from 205 to 125, if I'm not mistaken, condominiums with the same total mass. The hotel is an autograph lifestyle property, while the condominiums are actually addressing a need in the community as well for high-quality condominiums.
And can you talk about your construction milestones so far? Where are you in the project development?
Basically, we are looking for starting to construct in the first quarter of next year. We are going through the process with the authorities in town.
Anything else you want to share with the board that you want them to know about your project?
No, we hope to create another unique building in Aventura that will indeed be a destination for the neighborhood. For example, the hotel, we hope to cater to the Chabad people that do not want to necessarily travel on Shabbat, and to the neighborhood in general. We'll have a kosher delicatessen in the building, so we hope to be good neighbors. And by the way, 52 years in business, I've never opposed a development. I do not feel comfortable to be here, but this is, my opinion, too aggressive.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
want me to tell you what's wrong with this?
You want to talk about it?
No, I think the building is too high. The requests are really through the process that we are going through is just asking for ratios of almost 11 to 1. You know, we could have expected a 12-story building with 140 or so feet, or 50, but not 179-story building right across from us. Because of the 179 height and the density, there's need for a big parking lot. So the big parking lot right next to us is right into our apartments, or some of them anyhow. It just really, this is the height of the parking. This is our height. So from here on, it's really in our apartments and so on. And this is only half of the project. Once the zoning is changed, the other half can do the same. So from our point of view, is opening a Pandora's box.
Do you want to talk about what you saw as the match between your hotel and your residential project and what was allowed before?
Well, we were hoping there's going to be, if there's going to be any development, that there will be office development that basically would need to use our hotel. So it was something that we did not bargain for this, for sure. Anyhow, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, to sum up, we don't think this property is an appropriate place to add the town center. It's better as a purely commercial district. And this is the wrong project to realize the town center vision. It's not a true mixed-use project. As evidenced by the number and the great extent of the variance and the conditional uses that are stacked on top of the variances, in addition to the concurrent rezoning, they're just simply packing too much onto this site. So for these reasons, we would ask you to deny items 4B and C on this agenda. And we recognize that the other items have already been before this board, but we would ultimately ask that as the city commission, all of the application materials, all of the item 7s, B, C, D, and E be rejected. And our team is available to answer any questions you might have, and we thank you for your attention.
Thank you. At this time, let me ask if the applicant wants to respond briefly.
Yes, I do.
Hopefully
Thank
briefly.
you. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is really an example of the pot calling the kettle black, and I'm going to show you why. Can we hook this up? There you go. On the left, you see Port Aventura in the middle column. It's a smaller property than Castle Residences, yet the total floor area is over 100,000 square feet more. The FAR is 4.45. Our FAR is 1.92. They have a density approved, and they've talked about a project that they're proposing, they're reducing the density, but that's proposed. It hasn't been approved. Their approved density is 106 units to the acre. Our density is 69 units to the acre. Their height is 18 stories, 220 feet. Our height is 17 stories. And their lot coverage is significantly higher than what's permitted in the district, and that's because it's essentially a holdover from 2003 zoning. But their lot coverage is about 61%. They're in RMF4, they're only permitted 40%. We are under our maximum permitted 45% in the town center district. This is our side-by-side renderings of approved versus proposed. This is a massing that we have prepared, and you can see that Port Aventura is the one that's not detailed on the right-hand side. It is a much larger project than Castle Residences. Here's the view from the west. Again, Port Aventura now on the left, much larger than Castle Residences. Another view, and by the way, I do want to point out that the Venture project on the other side of the street is 11 stories and 7 stories. I know Mr. Mash felt that we had somehow baited and switched on our renderings from May. This project has always been a 17-story project. We have not changed it from 12 stories. And the existing retail floor area today on this site is almost 45,000 square feet. Our setback variances have been withdrawn, so I just wanted to point that out regarding Mr. Mash's comments. Now, this shows you what we could have done as of right under the B2 zoning if we stuck with B2 and we maxed out the project. In this particular case, the Castle Residence property is on the left-hand side, Port Aventura is on the right. And if we were to develop under Live Local, because we could develop under Live Local today, approximately 135 dwelling units, about 45,000 square feet of retail development and about 130,000 square feet of office development would all fit within the program of a Live Local Act project. That's what that project would look like compared to Port Aventura. And here, the height of that project would be allowed to go up to 25 feet. 25 stories, 250 feet, the highest development that heights that are permitted in Aventura today. This is the view that they're complaining about, that they want to preserve, the view that we would be obstructing. This is taken from approximately 65 feet where their residential projects begin. So one of the things that Mr. Kurbel and Mr. Blackman talked about was the status quo. And they felt somehow that they were entitled to preserve the B2 zoning on this property, on the Castle Residences property. And they pointed out that the B2 zoning doesn't allow residential. Well, Mr. Gross purchased the property, his property, in 2015. It was zoned RMF4. I got it zoned RMF4 in 2005. At that time, RMF4 did not allow a hotel. And Mr. Kurbel complained about our convoluted zoning requests. Well, in 2019, when Mr. Gross got an approval from this commission, he got a very convoluted and multi-conditioned approval to modify the RMF4 zoning in order to allow limited hotel use. And the requirements, there were 8 requirements that he added to the RMF4 code. One dealing with it had to be surrounded on 2 sides by B2. Retail and restaurant uses would be permitted as accessory uses. Not more of the 10% gross building area shall be devoted to hotel amenities, such as dining areas, bars, and lounges. The gross floor area of the hotel use shall not exceed 33% of the gross floor area. So they did in 2019, and there were 4 other conditions. They did exactly the same thing that we are doing today. They manipulated the code to get what they wanted. We are similarly, I don't say it's a manipulation, but we are similarly making requests to accommodate a project that makes sense for this area and is compatible with surrounding development. Regarding the Hero Housing bonus, there is certainly a precedent for the Hero Housing bonus that this city commission has granted. Despite Mr. Corbell's complaints, it's been approved in the Flow project. It's been approved in the Icon project. We understand the guidelines that have been promulgated with respect to Hero Housing. We understand and intend to comply with those guidelines, providing units to teachers and to police personnel at 50% of the market rates. And finally, I'd like to point out that we have planned and designed our building to push the residential tower as far away as possible from Mr. Gross's hotel. We wanted to be respectful of his hotel. We hope that we can work together and be complementary in the future. But I understand, Mr. Gross, that he wanted to preserve an office use for patrons for his property, an office use on the Castle Residence's property. And quite frankly, that is not his prerogative. The owner has the prerogative to apply for approvals and to get the approvals if we satisfy all of the code criteria. And I think you've heard from your professional staff that all of the applications before you this evening comply with the criteria in the code and should be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. You want to make a brief comment? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you.
I don't think there's sir rebuttal.
I'm allowing him to make a brief comment. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Let the record be complete.
Thank you. Just one point, I mentioned Live Local. I just want to point out, if they were to do a Live Local project, at least 40% of the units would be for true affordable housing under the state requirements. So you would at least get the benefit of that for the community. The second thing is, his rebuttal was primarily directed at slagging our project, not so much in supporting the issues that we had raised about his project's compliance with code. And to that point, I just wanted to say for the record, our project, while we did get an amendment to the code and to the comprehensive plan to allow limited service hotel, that was a very modest request done through the appropriate process to bring in a use that was entirely consistent with the residential character and did not create the extreme change in circumstances that this project proposes. We fit ours within the character of the neighborhood. Our project will fit in with the character of the neighborhood, as Mr. Gross mentioned, and the synergy between what was there. We were also part of a larger development plan, which, as Mr. Burkow recognizes, he did have rezoned, and we're grateful for that. Our project fit in with what was allowed under the overall development scheme that included the Chabad property and the other residential buildings around it. And so there was allocations of density and FAR and other zoning criteria across that entire scheme. And so I just wanted to point out that the context is very different. The context of our building is very different. And with that, we would urge you to deny these applications. And thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members, for your attention.
Thank you. Commission comments or questions? I have a couple of comments I wanted to ask Kevin to make sure that I'm clear. First, actually, we had a neighbor who spoke. We had a beautifully written letter from on the across the street the other way on 185th. What do you call that? Terraza, next to the Chabad.
Terzetto?
Say it again?
Terzetto?
Terzetto. And it was a very well-written email saying, please preserve our air, our view, our light, etc. So first, there's a misconception as to, there always is, as to the power that this commission has. The landowner can build next week what he's allowed to build as of right. So something is going there. And if they were to build, again, I want Kevin, you to correct me if I'm wrong, if they wanted to build a 12-story office building next week, it wouldn't even come before the commission if they were doing as of right.
That is correct, potentially, assuming they would meet all the requirements, but 12-story in B2 is allowed.
And the property you just mentioned, say the name again?
Well, I think you were talking about Venture Center. Terzetto is to the south.
No, Terzetto. Terzetto. This letter came from him. Don't block my view. There would be an office building there blocking his view. Those are 3-story townhouses. So we can't stop that. We can't say enough is enough. We don't want any more traffic. But office creates more automobile traffic, more car trips daily than condominium. That is a fact, obviously. So first thing is, we can't stop a landowner from developing what he's allowed to develop. What we can do and what we try to do is get the best possible project. Unfortunately, we have had our hands tied in Tallahassee. Live Local was just mentioned. Again, you correct me if I'm wrong, okay? I've been up to Tallahassee at least 3 times to try to get Aventura exempt from Live Local. We hate Live Local. We have a hero housing concept, which is luxury housing, which is not workforce housing, which is not affordable housing, which is not subject to, it's not based on income. It's a job benefit if you work for our city, if you're one of our teachers or one of our police officers. That is the antidote to Live Local. We've been fighting Live Local, and Live Local has been potentially destroying communities. We can talk all we want about what we really want and what our comp plan says and how we need to stick to the things that the founders had in mind. Live Local has destroyed, they've usurped our authority. So again, you correct me if I'm wrong. I want Mr. Gross to know you have to sometimes be careful what you ask for. You don't like the 17 stories. Tell me if I'm wrong. We deny them, they come in next week with a Live Local project. We're not allowed to vote no, and they build 25 stories. Not only do they build 25 stories, they give no contribution to our school. They don't have to do a commercial, they don't have to do a mixed use if they don't want to. We can't tell them no. And 40% of what they build is affordable housing. I'm guessing that's not your desired next door neighbor is affordable or workforce housing for the hotel you're building and the condominiums that you'll be selling. So we don't have a choice. There's not a single person here that hasn't been to Tallahassee personally to fight against Live Local. But this is a new reality. This is a new figurative gun to our head. And if I'm wrong about anything I said, and I want the neighbors to know across the street, neighbors, I'm looking at you. They can come next week and ask for a permit to build 25 stories, and we can't say no. So you complaining about 17, they can build 25. Now, they haven't said they're going to do that, but you did just see it mentioned today. You just saw his drawings. This is the reality of the law, and it just got made worse last month in Tallahassee. This is the second version of it. Every year it seems to get worse, okay? So it's great for developers. It's terrible for local municipalities that are losing control. It's terrible for home rule. Has anything I said been inaccurate, Kevin?
No, sir.
Okay, so you can look at Bal Harbor shops, gun to their head. You can look at the Clevelander, gun to their head. What is it? It's a negotiation tactic, right? Do those developers really want to build workforce housing in Bell Harbor shops? No. Knowing they can, and by the way, I don't know who represents them, if it's anyone here, it's not meant to be, that's not why I'm saying it, but I know because I speak to the city council in Bell Harbor. It's a horrible thing they're dealing with. So, to their credit, this developer has not threatened that. But I did just see it, and by the way, that's the first time I've seen them even mention it. We have to be careful of the lesser of evils. So is it perfect for the neighborhood? Well, at this point, it no longer even matters, right? Is it the best thing we can get is what matters. Is it the best we can do? So I think everyone should go to Tallahassee and say this is outrageous. And we tried to tell them, base a waiver on the footprint of a city. We're only 3.5 square miles. Base it on the density. We have 14,000 people every square mile. Base it on the fact that we have our own product, Hero Housing. Nothing we said carried any weight because that deal was already baked in the cake before the legislative session even started. And to us, it's an absolutely terrible thing. To other cities too, Key Biscayne, Bal Harbor, it's the worst thing that could happen to these communities. Commissioners, anybody have comments or questions? Comments or questions? Nothing? Yes, Commissioner Hayne.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for their presentations tonight. They are interesting. It's a lot that we have to think about. I would like to hope that whatever the vote is tonight, whichever way it does go, which we'll find out in a few minutes, that developers use prudency in whatever they're going to do, regardless of what happens.
Yes, Commissioner Friedland.
I'm going to speak when we reconvene on this on the commission meeting.
Okay, so we're going to be voting on it now. Do you want to not speak? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, once the commission has spoken, I'd just like to add something if I could.
I don't think there's anyone else that wants to say anything, so.
I'd also like to make one clarification.
Sure, please, let Kevin go and then the city attorney.
And hopefully, it's a comfort to Mr. Gross and one thing he said, which is a clarification that they could not, the applicant, the owner of this property, could not do the same thing on the other half of this parcel in the future. They are asking for a density of 69 units per acre where the max is 70. So they would not have capacity to do the same thing on the other parcel. I just wanted to make that clarification, because that was the only thing that was not clear.
Thank you, I forgot to ask you about that. They can't replicate this project where Mo's is that what you're saying?
Not without a complete increase in the density allowances in the city, double what they are now, correct?
Which doesn't seem likely.
Doesn't exist and likely would not.
Okay. This is what they're choosing to do on that entire space.
That's correct.
Whether it's to preserve Mo's or whatever, that's their choice, but they're using up their density.
Correct.
Say it in louder.
Correct.
You had me at correct. Mr. Attorney.
So you have two items in front of you, 4B and 4C, and they really should be looked at a little differently. Notwithstanding everything you said about live local, I think you could argue that the live local speech that you gave, and you've given it before, you know, whenever these applications come up, I think it might be appropriate for 4C, but 4B is about a request for a variance. And with a variance, you have to show there's been a hardship. So I think when you ultimately vote on 4B, there obviously has been a presentation made by staff and by the attorney for developer that the hardship has been met. The intervener's arguing that it hasn't been met, but the live local argument doesn't really apply to whether or not a variance should be granted to the property. I just wanted to make that clear for the record.
Understood. Yes, Commissioner.
In that case, I'll just speak at this time. That's okay?
Yes.
I don't always feel the need to explain my vote, but tonight I do. Over the past week, I met with the city manager and carefully reviewed the project. next to Moe's Bagels, as well as the neighboring developments, because that project was approved before I was a commissioner. And since I've lived in Aventura since I was 14, I have listened to the residents' concerns about traffic and how our city is changing. Tonight, I listened carefully here to the applicant and to the intervener, who I know will also be bringing a beautiful project to our city. One that I mentioned was approved long before I was a commissioner. I paid a close attention to the presentations, the review of our comprehensive plan, the proposed changes to our zoning regulations, and our staff's position that this application complies with our code requirements. I also carefully considered what the property owner can do as a matter of right, because owners do have their fundamental right to develop their land. In this case, this owner is entitled to redevelop. They have the right to build up to 12 stories, and as we heard, this proposed project would result in less traffic than what could be built under right with their current zoning. But my decision, at least as to 4C, is shaped by the new state law of Live Local that the mayor discussed. This law allows developers to build up to the city's maximum density with 40% affordable housing. They don't need any commission approval or the public input. Local zoning controls are preempted, and we are already seeing that in beautiful cities like Miami Beach and Bell Harbor. These projects can move forward without any community feedback or the usual safeguards that protect our city's unique character. Tonight, I want to vote to eliminate that threat for the future of our city. I will continue to urge our Tallahassee representative to revisit and reconsider Live Local during the next session. But whether our residents are listening here in person or online, I want you to know that I do listen, I do think about our future of our city. I take your concerns seriously, and I'm here balancing the rights of our community, and will always keep fighting for those in our city. So thank you for trusting me to make these decisions, and to the attorneys that are present here, yes, I listen to all of you, as it is my responsibility in this proceedings, and thank you for presenting tonight.
Thank you. Any other commission comments? I guess I'm the only one here that voted for Mr. Gross's project all those years ago. I think no one else had been elected yet, is that right?
I'm happy I finally got to see what it looks like.
But I'm glad it's starting. I'm glad it's happening. Yes, Commissioner.
I want to, first of all, remind everybody that you, Howard Weinberg, have pushed the idea that Aventura City is exempt, would be exempt. You requested the exemption from Live Local so that we don't have to be so generous, I would say, in a way. And I believe that we are all striving to get that exemption for the city of Aventura so that we don't have to feel that Live Local is a threat to that they can do anything they want in any property. So I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention.
Any other comments? If not, I will close it and ask for a vote on, we'll vote twice, I guess, for B and for C. First is for B.
Right, I just wanted to clarify for the record that this vote is for 4B, and it will also include the amendments as entered into the record by Mr. Klopp. Would you like him to review those at this time?
Yes.
The letter of intent from the applicant struck number 5 of their request, which was variance from section 31-145 to allow front setback of 15 feet where 25 feet is required, a side setback of 15 feet where 20 is required, and a rear setback of 12 feet where 20 is required. So the resolution itself would strike those from the request. And then, and I'll put it on the record now, the next resolution on the conditional use, we would add a condition that would say, the applicant shall obtain Florida Green Building Coalition Silver certification in order to obtain administrative approval of the front and side setbacks included in the reference drawings. The site plan shall conform to the rear setback requirement as listed in the applicable land development regulations.
Thank you. Okay, 4B.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz is absent due to recusal. Commissioner Ain?
No.
Commissioner Blatchman?
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Orlinski?
Yes.
And Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
4C.
Commissioner Cruz is absent due to recusal. Commissioner Ain?
No.
Commissioner Blatchman?
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland? Vice Mayor Orlinski?
Yes.
And Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. 4B and 4C. We did those together. What do I have left here? Nothing. Looks like we're done with the LPA, correct?
Correct, just
Okay, I
adjournment.
need a motion to adjourn. Made by Vice Mayor Linsky, seconded by Commissioner Ain. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Say aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Now, we're going to go back to the commission meeting. It's 8:30 exactly. Please call the roll.
Mayor Weinberg?
Here.
Vice Mayor Orlinski? Here. Commissioner Ain? Okay. Commissioner Blatchman?
Here.
Commissioner Bloom? Commissioner Friedland?
Here.
Commissioner Cruz?
Here.
Mr. Pegues?
Here.
And Mr. Myers? You have a quorum.
Okay. Does anyone want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Mr. Manager?
No.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Vice Mayor Linsky, seconded by Commissioner Cruz. Welcome back, Commissioner Cruz. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Commissioner Ain? Commissioner Blatchman?
Here.
We're voting on the consent agenda. Is that a yes?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Orlinski?
Yes.
And Mayor Weinberg?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, item 7, quasi judicial procedures, invoked once again, 7A through 7E. Mr. Attorney, you want to repeat what you said so eloquently an hour
Yeah,
ago?
unfortunately, I have to read this again. Please be advised that items 7A through E on the commission agenda are zoning hearings or quasi-judicial nature. As such, the quasi-judicial procedures of the city shall be invoked for these items. If you wish to object or comment upon these items, please inform the mayor when public comments are requested. An opportunity for persons to speak on these items will be made available after the applicant, intervener, and staff have made their presentations on the items. All testimony, including public testimony, evidence will be made under oath or affirmation for these quasi-judicial items. Additionally, each person who gives testimony may be subject to cross-examination. If you refuse either to be cross-examined or to be sworn, your testimony will be given its due weight. The general public will not be permitted to cross-examine witnesses, but the public may request the commission ask questions of staff or witnesses on their behalf. Persons representing organizations must present evidence of their authority to speak for their organization. Further details of the quasi-judicial procedures may be obtained from the clerk. I'll just mention this again. I asked at the LPA if anyone wanted to disclose ex parte communications. A number of you did. If anyone else has ex parte communications to disclose, now would be the time to do it, because this appears to be the final vote for these items.
Okay, anyone have any additional disclosures? Okay, if the clerk can swear in those offering testimony.
If you will be speaking or presenting on items 7A, 7B, 7C, 7D, or 7E, I need you to be sworn in at this time. If you'll be presenting or speaking on any of these items, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Okay, 7A.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting amended conditional use approval pursuant to Section 31-145B3M of the City Code to permit the development of padel courts, shade covers, and accessory facilities on the top floor of the existing parking garage located at 18851 Northeast 29th Avenue, providing for conditions and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the resolution. Commissioner Cruz, seconded by Commissioner Bloom. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to request that all of the proceedings from the LPA meeting be brought into the commission record, including the fact that the LPA recommended the condition be revised to allow for removal of the shade only in hurricane situations.
Yes, that will be the case. Does the applicant need to say anything? I don't think so. Anyone from the public want to talk about padel? Seeing none, I'll close it. Any comments from the commission? Don't see any, so let us take a vote.
Commissioner Blatchman?
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Commissioner Ain?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Orlinsky is absent. Mayor Weinberg?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Second reading ordinances. Madam Clerk, if you could read 7B and 7C and the resolutions for 7D and 7E.
Ordinance's second reading, public hearings. 7B, an ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, approving a small-scale amendment to the future land use map of the City of Aventura Comprehensive Plan pursuant to Section 163.3187 Florida statutes to redesignate an approximate 3.01 acre tract of land on the southwest corner of Northeast 187th Street and Northeast 28th Court, identified by folio numbers 28-2203-043-0010 and 28-2203-033-0010, from business and office to town center, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the comprehensive plan, and providing for an effective date. 7C, an ordinance of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending the official zoning map by changing the zoning designation of an approximate 3.01 acre tract of land on the southwest corner of Northeast 187th Street and Northeast 28th Court, identified by folio numbers 28-2203-043-0010 and 28-2203-033-0010. From Community Business District B2 to Town Center District TC1, providing for severability, providing for inclusion in the code, and providing for an effective date. Resolutions, public hearings. 7D, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting a variance from Section 31-145B1A of the city's land development regulations to permit a mixed-use development where the ratio of square feet of residential uses to commercial uses is 10.58 to 1, where a maximum ratio of 3 to 1 is required, and variance from Section 31-145B5F to permit 1, a front setback of 15 feet where 25 feet is required, 2, a side street setback of 15 feet where 20 feet is required, and 3, a rear setback of 12 feet where 20 feet is required, for the property located at 2770, 2822, 2826, 2830, 2834, and 2850 Northeast 187th Street, providing for implementation and providing for an effective date. Item 7E, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting conditional use approval pursuant to Section 31-145B3 of the City Code of Ordinances, One, to permit a density of 69 dwelling units per acre for a project providing hero housing, where the city code permits 25. Two, to permit heights up to 17 stories, 174 feet, where the city code permits 4 stories, 50 feet. And three, to permit minimum floor areas of 800 feet for one-bedroom units, where the minimum requirement is 900 square feet, for the property located at 2770, 2822, 2826, 2830, 2834, and 2850 Northeast 187th Street, providing for conditions of approval and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. With regard to 7B, could I have a motion to approve the ordinance? Commissioner Bloom, seconded by Vice Mayor Orlinsky. A motion to approve 7C. Commissioner Bloom, seconded by Vice Mayor Orlinsky. 7D, motion to approve the resolution. Commissioner Bloom, seconded by Vice Mayor Orlinsky. There's a pattern developing. What was that, 7D? Let's try 7E. I need a motion. Commissioner Bloom, seconded by Vice Mayor Orlinsky. Okay, you ran the category. Kevin, please.
Mr. Mayor, can I just jump in for a second?
Please.
I just want to note for the record that Commissioner Cruz has left the proceeding due to the reasons he stated in the LPA, that he's recusing himself due to appearance of a voting conflict with respect to these 4 items.
Thank you. Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will go through my presentation for all 4 items as well. I do want to let you know I'm going to cover the 2 items that were at the LPA back in May 1st, and then the 2 items that were at the LPA this evening, 2nd. So the 4 applications that were mentioned in the 4 items the city clerk read are on the screen. Local planning agency has heard about this project on May 6th and July 1st. On May 6th, the LPA recommended by a 5-to-1 vote in favor of the future land use map change and the rezoning. I'm going to go through those a little bit for you now. Because of the potential of appeal, I do need to put on the record some of my comments. This is a 3-acre parcel. It is surrounded by commercial and residential uses, Its current future land use designation is commercial. The proposed future land use designation is a mixed-use town center, meaning that it would match all of the surrounding area of commercial and residential. The current zoning is B2, and as we have heard tonight, under B2, it is eligible for live local, which allows residential projects at our maximum height and density. The proposed zoning is TC1, which is a mixed-use residential and commercial district. I would, as a professional planner with 30 years of experience, say that if we did not grant mixed-use zoning on this parcel, when it is surrounded by commercial and residential, would not be good planning. Here's the site where the existing building is. There's a vacant parcel to the south, which is at the bottom of the screen, which we heard about tonight as the Port Aventura project, and then to the upper middle part of the screen, the building that is labeled with the address as the site. Standards for review exist for a future land use map amendment, just like any other kind of land development change, and the Florida statutes provide those, that there be availability of facilities and services, that there be suitability of the site for development, that there be balanced development with land conservation, and that the development pattern discourages urban sprawl. Florida statutes consider planning to be, when you're talking about greenfields, when you're talking about expanding urban development boundaries, when you're talking about development that goes where development has never been before. The state, pursuant to Chapter 380, considers the city of Aventura a dense urban area. So these standards of review for a comp plan change really only point to number one, that there be roads, that there be sewer, that there be police service, education, et cetera, and those things do exist. The standards of review for zoning are from our own code, 33-77. Again, has to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, compatible with the surrounding zoning. The property is suited for the use. There's availability of such sites for development elsewhere, which is not the case in Aventura. That there not be adverse effect on traffic patterns, that there not be adverse impacts on the environment, and there not be adverse impacts on health, safety, or welfare. Again, staff has found that this proposed zoning meets the standards of review. Now, you heard a little bit of this from the applicant. I do need to put on the record that we also did review the application in consideration of our comprehensive plan. Land use objective number one of our plan says that we accommodate growth. We do not maintain the status quo. That is not good planning. Land use policy 2.2 says that we emphasize pedestrian activity, safety, and comfort over the rapid and convenient movement of motor vehicles. That transit and pedestrian mobility will be increased and the area-wide traffic is to be reduced. And policy, 3.2, that we are to vigorously promote a variety of housing types. Land use objective 3 says that we would emphasize intensification around centers of activity. Now, this is an expansion of the TC1 Town Center District. In and of itself, it meets the ratios. There is plenty of residential, plenty of commercial. On this specific site is where there's a variance needed to accommodate our Hero Housing program. Land use policy 3.1 says we would promote the green building program, which this project will do. And 11.1 says to facilitate redevelopment, mass transit supportive development, which is key, and mixed use projects that promote energy conservation. Okay, so that summarizes our recommendation on the comprehensive plan change and on the zoning. Now, on July 1st, this evening, the the LPA heard two other applications also approved by the same 5-to-1 vote or recommended 5-to-1 vote by the LPA. A mixed-use development, now this is to the project, not to the parcel of land, but to the proposed project. As you've heard over and over again, 17 stories, 208 residential units, and a square foot on the smallest bedroom, smaller than our minimum size, and 12,000 square feet of retail. This is the project. The conditional use request is for the discretion that the City Commission has to provide a bonus incentives on density when Hero Housing is provided. The standards of review are on the screen for conditional use approval. We find they meet all of those standards, and that in particular, the standard for public facilities, including schools and police service, are furthered by this project by the provision of attainable housing for police officers and teachers. And the general welfare, which is sustainability, green building practices, this project provides with its Green Building Coalition silver certification. As far as the variance, the mixed-use ratio of more than the 3-to-1 requirement, in basic terms, the amount of residential is more than 3 times the amount of commercial. We find that it does meet the standards of review, particularly because of a hardship that if carried out literally, they would not be able to provide the very necessary middle housing that is a huge, not only Aventura or Miami-Dade County, but Florida and country problem. We need more middle housing, and this will provide it. That is the particular hardship. There are competing policies in this. Yes, we would like to maintain the 3-to-1. That does not have to be maintained on a site-by-site basis. That is not good planning. If you look at the town center as a whole, it definitely provides the ratio that we're looking for. So in summary, staff recommends approval of the comp plan change, the rezoning, the conditional use, and the variance. I'm available for any questions. Thank you. I did add this one last slide. I don't often do this, but I do want to summarize. This parcel is ideally situated for mixed-use redevelopment. It is pedestrian-oriented. It is transit supportive. It provides zero housing. It promotes green building. It's an attractive design, and it's not driven by Live Local. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, does the applicant want to comment?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, I don't have anything to add to Mr. Klopp's excellent presentation, which we agree with wholeheartedly. And we would just like to reincorporate everything from the proceedings before the LPA earlier this evening. I don't have anything else to add. I would like to reserve the right to rebut if Mr. Corbell makes a presentation. Thank you.
Okay, before I ask the intervener, any members of the public wish to comment? Seeing none, I'll close for public comment, but you'll invite the intervener to provide any comments?
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. So I also incorporate the presentation that we gave at the LPA hearing for the record. I'm not going to belabor it. I do need to state for the record, just because this is the first time that we're formally appearing on the comprehensive plan, that we object to the comprehensive plan amendment on the grounds that we stated in our prior presentation, because it renders your comprehensive plan policies internally inconsistent, particularly as it pertains to what the town center is supposed to be under your plan. I also, while I respect Mr. Klopp very much and am loath to correct him, I do need to add, he commented that the density would be capped by this application, but the FAR would not be. They would still have a full approximately 240,000 square feet of FAR that they could do, and they could just knock down the mows and build it there. So I needed to complete the record on that point. And then finally, while I understand the commission's concern about Live Local, I think it's essential that you understand TC1 is still eligible for Live Local, and there is no covenant here that requires them to maintain this plan and this configuration. So you will have rezoned to TC1, it will be eligible for Live Local, and there's no commitment that they keep what they've presented to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Did the applicant want to respond briefly? Mr. Burkow, do you want to respond briefly? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to state for the record that the applicant and the owner have no intention to do any Live Local development. We in fact have a site plan application that we have been working on for several months that's being processed with the application that is completely identical to everything that we have committed this evening. So I will tell you that on behalf of the owner, but on behalf of the development team, there's absolutely no intent to do live local.
Okay, thank you. Any commission comments or questions? Yes, Commissioner Rain.
Thank you very much. It was pointed out earlier that under the proposal that the most site can never be redeveloped. Now, that's not to say, in light of the changes this commission may vote on, that a future commission, we may not be here, may decide to, agree if someday in the future there are future changes in the development. I'm also a little bit troubled by this commission's ability to be a little concerned about future housing of what may happen and what may not be. And it's just something that I guess this commission will have to live with if they vote for this proposal. Thank you.
Okay, any other commission comments, questions? Okay, if not, I will ask for a roll call vote for 7B.
Commissioner Bloom,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz is absent due to recusal, Commissioner Ain,
No?
Commissioner Blatchman,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olinsky,
Yes.
and Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
7C.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz is absent due to recusal, Commissioner Ain,
No?
Commissioner Blatchman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olinsky,
Yes.
and Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
7D.
I just wanted to clarify for the record that this vote will include the amendments to, that Mr. Klopp had entered into the record for the local planning agency would also apply to this vote. For resolution, item 7D, Commissioner Cruz is absent due to recusal, Commissioner Ain,
No?
Commissioner Blatchman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Olinsky,
Yes.
and Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
7E.
Also wanted to enter into the record that the vote for this item for Resolution 7E will also include the amendments as entered into the record at the local planning agency by Mr. Klopp. Commissioner Blatchman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz is absent due to recusal, Commissioner Ain,
No?
Vice Mayor Olinsky,
Yes.
and Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
8A, please, Madam Clerk. Ordinances, first reading.
Thank you very much.
Aventura City Commission, acting in its capacity as the governing board for the Aventura City of Excellence School, ACES. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending ordinance number 2024-09, which ordinance adopted the Aventura City of Excellence school budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, July 1 to June 30th, by revising the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget document as outlined in Exhibit A attached hereto, authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to carry out the aims of this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve? Commissioner Bloom, second by Commissioner Blanchman. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I recommend the commission approve the ACES Charter School Fund Budget Amendment for fiscal year 24-25 in the amount of $338,030. All revenues and expenditures were carefully reviewed, analyzed, and adjusted as necessary. The initial fund balance remained unchanged, and the $338,030 in additional revenues fully offset the corresponding increase in expenditures. Some key adjustments include an additional $185,000 in capital outlay funding we received, an increase of $160,000 in district referendum funds to enhance teacher stipends, an $88,000 increase to expand student tutoring hours, and a $162,000 increase in pupil transportation costs due to higher bus service expenses. I respectfully recommend approval of the ordinance and available to answer any questions.
Okay. First, let me ask if any commissioners have any questions on this, comments? Any member of the public have any questions or comments? Okay, let me close it to the public and ask for a vote.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Commissioner Bloom?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Ain?
Yes.
Commissioner Blatchman?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Alinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
8B,
Aventura City Commission, acting in its capacity as governing board for the Don Soper Aventura High School, DSAHS, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending ordinance number 2024-10, which ordinance adopted the Don Soper Aventura High School budget for fiscal year 2024-2025, July 1 to June 30th, by revising the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget document as outlined in Exhibit A attached hereto, authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to carry out the aims of this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
motion to approve. Commissioner Rain, seconded by Commissioner Bloom. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. I recommend the City Commission approve the ordinance amending the fiscal year 24-25 Don Soper Aventura High School budget. This amendment reflects adjustments to revenue and expenditure projections based on actual funding and operational needs. The total amendment is $1,589,765 in net revenue increase and $705,882 in net expenditure increase. And some key adjustments include increased revenue due to higher student enrollment, greater than expected capital outlay funds, and ESSER reimbursements and referendum stipends. Major expenditures include stipends, bonuses, and building maintenance, HVAC repairs, and AC rentals. Adjustments also account for additional AP revenues and related exam costs, as well as the higher management fees. Some offsets and expenditures include reduced equipment leasing and lower administrative staffing costs. And I respectfully recommend the approval of this ordinance, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any member of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll close for public comment. Any commission comments, questions? Okay, let's vote.
Commissioner Bloom?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Ain?
Yes.
Commissioner Blatchman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Alinsky?
Yes.
And Mayor Weinberg.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Any staff reports, Mr. Attorney, Mr. Manager?
No, Mayor.
Okay. Anyone from the public wish to speak on a subject that we may not have discussed tonight, or one that we did? 3 minutes, 3 free minutes, come on up. Can't interest anyone, I will close it for public comment. Let me remind you once again, People's Choice, best place to live, Aventura. Nobody wants to come up and complain. Okay, then I'm going to close it for public comment. Any other business? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn at 9:01. Commissioner Cruz, second by Commissioner Ain. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.